All right, so this is the Unit 1 test review, so let's go ahead and get started. All right, so first off, what we have to do is we have to decide whether or not this is a geometric, quadratic, arithmetic, or cubic. So first thing I'm going to do is I always like to determine whether or not it's geometric. And the way that you deal with geometric, remember, geometric means you are multiplying, so little x means multiply. So I always like to look at the first two, so 9 and 28. Is there anything I can multiply to 9 to get to 28? And the answer is no, I can't think of anything. So that means there is not going to be, or this one's not going to be geometric. So once you do that, then you just go ahead and start subtracting or finding the difference. So 9 and 28, I believe that's 19. 28 and 57, I believe that is, I want to say 29, but let me check my work real quick. Yep, 29. And then 29, and then this will be 39, and this, I believe, is 49. Again, I'm looking for a common term, nothing there. I keep subtracting, so 10 and 29, that's 10, 10, 10. Okay, well, there we go. So I went second lower, so it's going to be a quadratic situation. Now, in order to find the next number, remember the very shortcut way is to take all the numbers at the tail end and just add them all up. So 145 plus 49 plus 10 gives me 204. All right. Question number two, determine the sequence. Okay, again, I'm going to always look through the lens of quadr or geometric. Is there anything I can multiply that's a whole number that's 78 to get to 97? The answer is no, I cannot. So I obviously know it's not going to be geometric. So I'm just going to start finding my differences. So between this, I believe that's 19. I think they're all 19. 19, 19, 19, 19. So this is going to be arithmetic. I only went down like I only did one set of subtraction, so I'm going to add this up. I believe it's going to be 163 and, oh, 173, sorry. So my next number is 173. All right, write the recursive formula. Remember, recursive is, it's always going to be an minus 1 something, and the something is what am I doing? Now, you should have already been checking your work, but you're multiplying by 6 every single time, so I'm just going to put times 6. Here, an minus 1, and I always give you an example of what it should look like. The whole A of n thing, if you don't write A of n, that's fine. I'm not a stickler on that. But if I notice I'm adding 10 every time, 10, 10, 10. So very simply, it's just going to be a n minus 1 plus 10. All right, for each sequence, stay with us, arithmetic or geometric or neither. All right, so arithmetic means I'm adding, geometric means I'm multiplying, and then obviously neither is neither. So 20 and 11, nothing I can multiply to 20 gets to 11, so I obviously know it's not going to be geometric. So let's see, that's 9, that's 9, that's 9, that's 9. Okay, I'm just subtracting 9 every single time, so that's going to be arithmetic. All right, so 3 to 9, again, there you go. So is it arithmetic or geometric? Let's see, 3 to 9. What can I do to 3 to get to 9? Well, I can times it by 3. Well, I can times 9 by 3. I can times 27 by 3. I can multiply it all by 3, which means it's going to be geometric. All right, it's over here. All right, find the missing term. All right, so in order to find the missing term, remember you need to take the later term and subtract it from the early term. So this is my later term, this is my early term. We talked about that very much, many, many times in class. And so that's going to be plus plus, that's going to be 45. And then secondly, I'm going to divide by the jumps. All right, so I'm here, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. That's 5 jumps. I'm going to divide by 5. That means my common difference is 9. So that means I am adding 9 every single time. So that would be negative 30, negative 21, negative 12. That should be negative 3, and then you get 6. All right. I'm kind of rushing through this because a lot of y'all have already done really well with this in the past, so no sense killing too much time on this. So finding geometric sequence, remember that's finding R. So first thing, you're going to take the later term and you're going to divide it by the early term. All right, so that's step one. So the later term is 625, and then we're going to divide that by 1, and we're going to get 625. Now remember, the second is to take the root of the jumps. So again, I'm here at 1 jump, 2 jump, 3 jump, 4. All right. So I'm going to take the fourth root of 625. Remember, you're supposed to figure out how to do this. And if I'm not mistaken, it's going to be 5. So my ratio is 5. That means I'm multiplying by 5 every time. So 1 times 5 is 5, 25, 125, and then 625. All right, given two terms of arithmetic, find the common difference. Now, we've done this a lot, so remember step one, again, is to take the later term and subtract by the early term. Now, this is the 34th term, so this will be the later term because the other one is 19. That comes earlier. So 263 minus 143, I get 120. And now I'm going to divide by the number of jumps. But in this notation, so divide by jumps. But in this notation, I'm at the 19th term, I'm at the 34th term. I'm just going to subtract. So 34 minus 19, that gives me 15. I'm going to divide this by 15. And I believe I'm going to get, I want to say 8, I think. 120 divided by 12. Oh, 10. Nope. 120 divided by 15. Sorry, 8. So that means my common difference is 8. That's mean I'm adding 8 every single time. All right. So again, same concept. We're trying to find our R. So first step is to take the later term and divide it by the early term. All right, remember, this is your sixth term. This is your first term. This is the later term. So that's going to be a negative 23,328. We're going to divide that by 3. And we have negative 7,776. Then remember, we're going to root. So step number 2 is we're going to root off the jumps. And that's the sixth term, that's the first term, so that's the fifth root of negative 7776. Let's see. And that means my root is, or my ratio is going to be negative 6. So that means I'm multiplying by negative 6 every single time. All right, next is given the recursive formula for an arithmetic sequence, find the first 5 terms. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Notice that a of 1 is negative a. That's my first term, okay? Now, it says in my recursive formula, I'm going to take the previous term and add 100. So that means I'm adding 100 every single time. So add 100, just so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to add 100. I'm not going to do this the whole time. 192, 292, and lastly 392. There we go. All right, moving on. All right, now given the explicit formula, find the first 5 terms. So again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, a lot of folks blew up on the last quiz because of this, but don't overthink it, guys. This is the first term, this is the second term, this is the third, fourth, and this is the fifth term. Remember, you have to take each of these numbers and plug it into n to figure out what the actual number is. All right, so to find the first term off to the side, negative 39 plus 30 times 1. Do the math, you're going to get negative 9. Then it's negative 39 plus 30 times 2. And then when you do that, you're going to get positive 21. And then you're going to keep that process going. I'll do it one more time, but I'm trying not to eat up too much time here. Times 3, and that will be 51. And then you do it times 4, that would be 81. And then 111. All right. Given the explicit formula, find the term named in the problem. All right, now this is actually just like a step backwards in difficulty. Just take 20, just plug it in for n. So 14 plus 10 times 20, that should be 214. All right, moving on. All right, so now we're starting to get into a little bit of the trickier part in this. All right, so it says find the explicit formula. The biggest mistake that students are going to do is they're going to take this information, they're just going to do something like 9n plus 28. You can't do that, guys. It's never that simple. Remember, everything always has to go through the filter of a of n is equal to something plus something n minus 1. I mean, try to remember this, and that is whenever I ask you to find a formula, you have to use this setup. All right? So my first term is 28. That goes in the first blank. My common difference is 9. I distribute the 2, and you get 28 plus 9n minus 9. Combine the first, combine the last. That'll be 9n plus 19. There we go. All right, moving on. All right, it says find the explicit formula. Again, here's another. It's got to be the formula. So that means you have to use the an is equal to something plus something n minus 1. All right, so remember, what are we looking for? Our first term. There it is. It's 17. What are we adding every single time? Let's see, 17, 20, 23, 26. Well, I'm adding 3, so that's going to be my common difference. Distribute, distribute. 17 plus 3n minus 3. Again, combine the first, combine the last. 3n plus 14. Very simple. All right, for our next one here, now we get a little more challenging because we're not given our first term, but we're given our common difference. But you still have to, and I even wrote a hint on this, you still got to use that formula. All right, so we got to use this formula twice. So a of n is equal to something plus something n minus 1. We already know that we're looking for our first term. We don't have it. This will be 8. All right, distribute, distribute. Wow. Oh, woo, sorry. I went crazy here. We already know this is 8. Sorry. But we also need to know what does a of n and what does n equal. All right. We also need to know that. So we're going to take 119, plug it right there. We're going to take little 14 and plug it right there. So that ends up being 119 is equal to x plus 8 parenthesis 14 minus 1. Then it's 119 is equal to x plus, now 14 minus 1 is 13, so 8 times 13, I believe, is 103. 104, sorry. So adds up to 104. Okay, I'm going to subtract 104 from both sides. And my first term, and I kind of ran out of room here, I'm just going to write it down here. My first term ends up being 15. Okay, so now I found my first term. I still have my common difference. So I still have got to use the formula again to get my actual answer. So a of n is equal to something plus something n minus 1. Well, I know that my first term is now 15. I know that my common difference is 8. Distribute, distribute. So 15 plus 8n minus 8. Combine the first, combine the last. And my final answer is 8n plus 7. There we go. 8n plus 7. All right. So let me erase all that. You might need to go back and watch the video. Well, I don't have to erase that. Let's try this again. All right. Let's try 17. 17, 18, 19 are exactly the same. So I'm just going to do 16 and 17, and then I'll just give you the answers for 18, 19. So again, got to find my first term, something plus something, n minus 1. My common difference is 2. I'm looking for my first term. 57 will go here. 23 would go here. So that ends up being 57 is equal to x plus 2 times 23 minus 1. Well, 57 is equal to x plus, I believe this is 44 now, because 23 minus 1 is 22 times 2. So subtract 44, and you get x is equal to 13. Okay, so that's my first term. So I'm going to do this one more time. I'll just do it right here. A of n is equal to something plus something, n minus 1. My first term is 13, and my common difference was 2. Distribute, distribute. You're at 13 plus 2n minus 2. Combine the first, combine the last. 2n plus 11 for question number 7. 17. All right. So for questions 18 and 19, just to save time, I'm just going to go ahead and give you the answers. Question number 18 ended up being 6n minus 25. And question number 19 ended up being negative 10n plus 9. There we go. All right, moving on. All right, so John is saving his money to buy a motorcycle. He already has $1,200 and he will continue to save $300 each month. Create a closed form formula. All right, so it says he already has 1,200, so that's going to be our first term. A of 1 is equal to 1,200. He's continuing to save $300 every month. That's going to be our common difference, which is 300. So again, I'm creating a formula, which means I have to run it through this filter again. 1,200, 300, distribute, distribute. I'm hoping that you're kind of picking out or finding a pattern in all this. So my final answer is 300 n plus 900. There we go. Pretty simple. All right, so John's dad has a job for him to do. Let's see, he'll get paid more the first hour. So it says his normal hourly rate was $30. So whenever we talk about an hourly rate, it's always it's always the common difference. And then it says after 6 hours of work, he earned 230. So that means A of 6 is 230. So basically what we have here is the same questions like questions 16 and 17, 18, 19. I mean, literally the same thing. So we're going to A of n is equal to something plus something n minus 1. So we're looking for our first term. Our common difference is 30. In this case, 230 will go there, 6 will go there. So 230 is equal to x plus 30, 6 minus 1. 230 is equal to x plus 150. X is equal to 80. Okay? So I need some room here, so I've got to delete this. There you go. All right, so to find my final answer, so it's A of n is equal to something plus something n minus 1. So our first term was 800, or was 80. That's my first term, just found it. My common difference was 30. Hopefully you're starting to see a pattern here. 80 plus 30 n minus 30. Combine the first, combine the last. 30 n plus 50. There we go. All right. So 22, 23, 24, and 25 are all the same in the sense of you have to find your common difference first. So first thing we got to do is find our common difference. Well, again, if you look at what you're given on 22, you're given the 18th term, you're given the 30th term. That's my later term, that's my earlier term. So off to the side, it's going to be my later term, which is 102 minus 66. And I believe I'm going to get, I want to say 36. And then you are going to divide by the, how much you started with 1800, 18, sorry, and then you went to 30. So that means that's 12. So you're going to divide by 12. That means our difference is going to be 3. All right. So our difference is going to be 3. Now the next thing is you've got to choose. Let me clean this up a little bit. You choose between this term or this term to figure out your first term. So I'm just going to go ahead and choose this term here, the first one, just because it has smaller numbers. So again, remember, looking for the first term, A of n plus something, n minus 1. Common difference is 3. I'm looking for my first term. 66 goes there. Little 18 goes there. So 66 is equal to x plus 3 times 18 minus 1. So 66 is equal to x plus, let's see, 3 times 17. I believe that's 51. Subtract 51, x is equal to 15. So here's my first term. Here's my common difference. So I'm just going to plug it into my formula again for the very last time. Something plus something, n minus 1. My common difference is 3. My first term is 15. Take the 3, distribute, distribute. 15 plus 3n minus 3. Combine the first, combine the last. Final answer is 3n plus 12. There we go. All right. So I'll do another one here. I'll do, well, I was going to do question 20. Let's do 23. All right. I got to erase this, though. running out of time here. Let me move that right there. Okay. So again, I'm not giving my first term. I'm not giving my common difference. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my later and divide it by my earlier. So 320. I meant subtract. Minus 120. I believe that gives me a clean 200. And then that's the 13th term. That's the 38th term. Let's say that's 25. So I'm going to divide that by 25. So 200 divided by 25, I believe my common difference is 8. All right. So now I got to find my first term. So a of n is equal to something plus something, n minus 1. Let me kind of clean this up a little bit. All right, what do I want to use? Do I want to use the 13th term or do I want to use the 38th term? Well, I want to use the 13th. It's smaller numbers. Looking for my first term, I know my common difference is 8. 120 goes here, and little 13 goes right there. So that ends up being 120 is equal to x plus 8 times 13 minus 1. All right, so 120 is equal to x plus, let's see, 8 times 12, I believe is going to be 96. Subtract 96, x is equal to 24. There's my first term. All right, and I have my common difference, so I'm just going to put the two together. So a of n is equal to something plus something, n minus 1. And so when I do the math, my common difference is 8. My first term is 24. Distribute. So 24 plus 8n minus 8. Combine the first, combine the last. 8n plus 16. There we go. And then for length, I know I'm going on the 22-minute mark. I'm going to go ahead and give the answers. The answers for 24 is 200 n minus 180. And then the second one, 25, is negative 2n minus 15. Alrighty, that's everything. As always, let me know if you have any questions. We're going to have 2 days of review, so hopefully the first day you can figure out what's going on. The second day you can actually ask questions and fill in the gaps. Thank you for watching.